Hey, this is Alex Yoder with Pro Tip Tuesday, my favorite day of the week. And today we're going to be talking about credit scores. And I am lucky enough to have Anthony with Riverstone Law with us today. He is an expert on all things credit. And I would like to just pick your brain, Anthony, if you don't mind. And let me start out by not butchering your last name. Can you tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about Riverstone?
Sure. So my name's Anthony Iacobucci. I'm a regional director over at a company called Riverstone Law. We're based off of 120th up in Westminster. We're a local company. Been in business the last 15 years. I've been the regional director here for the last 10. And what we specialize in doing is partnering with mortgage professionals, mortgage bankers, agents, really anyone who's in the midst of the home buying process or wants to be a homeowner, but oftentimes has obstacles in regards to credit deficiencies that pop up in the home loan process. We're able to go coach and guide them and counsel them on maximizing positive credit, as well as alleviating some of the negative things that have maybe populated on a credit report and getting them back to the referral partner in which they'd sent over to us. So our platform is really going to be mortgage driven, but with a heavy backing of education. At the same time, really helping, folks close loans and put people into houses.
Cool. So, one of the things that I really wanted to cover today was when we as landlords have tenants applying for our properties, and I actually just had one yesterday, basically the credit score will often come in higher when we pull it as it pertains to our approvals. But when they pull it themselves, it's usually lower. So for example, I had one yesterday where I pulled a 420, or I'm sorry, I pulled a 520, and they're telling us that their credit was a 560 when they pulled it through Experian. And then we've heard similar, stories. Certainly when people are pulling that through like Credit Karma or one of these other like freecreditreport.com websites. Can you give us some insight about kind of why that happens and sort of what we should know as landlords?
Sure. So there's a lot of variance in regards to various algorithms that are accessible to landlords, mortgage professionals, agents, really anything that a consumer can find online. Oftentimes, the most scrutinized scores are, quite frankly, to come from folks like yourself, a landlord or a financial institution like, a Wells Fargo or Bank of America, something like that, in which they're pulling mortgage-derived algorithms specifically approved by Fannie and Freddie for the home buying process. I think the unfortunate situation now is it's kind of a money grab where everyone sees that everyone is very, very conscious now of their credit score and really the volatility and how much it really weighs on the everyday life, that, there's various algorithms that are bought by different kind of outlets that compute credit scores. Credit Karma, for example, seems to be the highest one in which people are purchasing because it is a free app, at least at first. They do have banner ads that kind of plug different services they want to push, but that application does not calculate things like medical debt or late payment history that's older than 2 years old. That has a higher threshold for debt utilization, which is your balance limit ratios. I think predominantly why people are pulling lower credit scores on the mortgage side or the rental side is that there's a lot more on the line. For the mortgage side, anywhere from a 15 to 30-year loan usually is the term for a mortgage product, as well as on the landlord side. You guys don't want to deal with evictions or people that don't have the credit worthiness to make a payment. So it's a lot more heavily scrutinized than some sort of a free application online. And then furthermore, oftentimes you're paying for these scores online. Experian, freescore.com, ScoreSense. You're not going to pay to go there and get a bad credit score. You know what I mean? They're not going to advertise, hey, come here and get your 520. They're going to say, hey, come here and get your 620, and you're going to be financeable for cars and high lines of credit, things like that.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is that there's different algorithms that people pull sort of based on different industries. So if you were pulling it through a mortgage provider, a mortgage provider is pulling it, or a landlord is pulling it, it's going to be more strict of a score kind of algorithm than if you're getting a car maybe.
Exactly, and Alex, that kind of boils down to the remarketability of an asset. It's easy to hypothetically speaking, pull a car out of someone's driveway and, as a repossession and resell the car and remarket that asset relative to maybe on a mortgage, you're foreclosing and evicting, or on your side, evicting someone and getting them out of a property. So it's really kind of more about the aches and pains that you or a mortgage professional will go through if a loan defaults or if a client goes bad on a lease.
That makes perfect sense. The last thing I want to just ask you, as we do try to keep these videos pretty quick,
Yeah.
is just credit scores in general. The average credit score, I think the last I checked in El Paso County was like somewhere around a 680 or something.
Yeah.
People are very confused about what this credit range is.
Sure.
What is the lowest and what is the highest? And I've heard that places like you were mentioning, like Credit Karma, will actually give you a higher score than even what's possible.
Yeah. There's an online source called scoresense.com, which actually pulls from TransUnion. And you think, hey, I'm getting a TransUnion score, but their scoring model is from 501 to 999. No one has a 900 credit score. So, the mortgage scale is 350 to 850. Predominantly, you're never going to really see anyone in the 300s. You really got to try. But I do want to touch upon where the credit scores, quite frankly, now are at an all-time high. I've been doing this 10 years. I remember credit scores being the low 600s. 611 was the national average right after the recession in 2011, 2012. And it's trickled up, 60, 80 points in the last, almost decade. Unfortunately, I think due to COVID and the circumstances that we're dealing with currently, we're going to see a dip in those numbers. And groups like us are always available to kind of help and counsel, guide, and clean up some of the discrepancies that have popped up during these troubling and interesting times that we're living in.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think that every landlord's a little bit different. There are some landlords, and this is kind of for those tenants out there, there are some landlords that will work with a no credit score. Our company has a minimum of 600, and there's some kind of variances for different policy around that, but generally 600 is our minimum. But if we get a no credit score, we treat it like a 600. In other words, we treat it like a barely qualify, and so they can still get approved. Now, I don't know what kind of flexibility you see in the apartment world, but I do see a lot of that kind of flexibility in the single family world with landlords and certainly property owners who are kind of self-managing. So that is really all I had for today. Anthony, thank you so much for your time today, and I appreciate you.
Alex, thanks so much for the invitation.
Yep, we'll see you.